Hello all, Old Geek here, and we're looking at another Dragon magazine. This is Volume 3, Number 1 from June 1978, coming in at $1.50. First things first, this cover image. Yeah, it's meh. Meh. They look very out of proportion. The hands, certainly the one behind, are odd. Standing awkwardly on that little chariot. The one at the front's okay. The one behind's a right old mess. Our third year, Dragon Magic, D&D Ground and Area Scale, and the Green Magician. The third year. Isn't that a bit of a curse when it comes to music? The third album. How many bands have had good first two albums and then have gone, huh? Not sure what they're doing for the third album? Because quite often the first album is them at their rawest, and the second album is a little more polished, and the third album they tend to meander. Let me know in the comments below bands that had bad third albums. Trying to think some off the top of my head. Can't prove it at the moment. There's an English band called Editors. Really liked their first album. Second album was quite good. Third album never got into it, for the reasons I've already mentioned. Anyway. So let's head into this. If you hear any thumping around in the background, then it's just my dog. She's decided to be in the room while I record this. She's been lovely and quiet all day. But the law of sod is that now I'm recording, she'll start scratching and fidgeting, and yeah, she might fart or something like that. Right, so these are clearly, these look like Celts. This is like the old sort of Boudica sort of time, the bladed war wagons. So I'm wondering if there's going to be a Celtish theme. The Iceni. Yes. Fantasy Air Cavalry from Ralpartha. Yet again, an advert with dodgy pictures. That's the problem with a lot of these ads. If you're advertising something like a miniature, you want a nice, big, detailed close-up of what you're going to get, rather than these sort of scratchy little things dotted over a page with very little detail, very poor images. Yeah. PenCon. Pennsylvania. That'll be why it's PenCon. Contents. Okay, so it's the third year. And on the contents page we have Dragon Magic, something a little different. The Dragon's Birthday Gift to You, Center Foldout. The Green Magician, the final Harold Shea story. Reviews, Fantasy Forge, figure photos. Oh, figure, yeah, with a PH. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Variants, pits, the kind adventurers fall into. Random events, revolt in the provinces. Notes from another semi-successful D&D player. Okay. Is that tournament related? Weather in the wilderness. Typhoons followed by large hail. Random events in Boot Hill. Okay, something different. The Wandering Monster should add to your game, not interfere. Yeah? It'll interfere with the PCs. Sorcerer Squalors on ground scales and areas of effect. Stellar Conquest. Movement. I'm really not interested in that. Dragon Mirth. The Adventures of Monty Hall. Book of Benoit. Phineas Fingers and Wormy. Okay. Well, there's 4 Dragon Mirth things. Well, we'll see how they go. Probably a dodgy cut there. As I predicted, dog started fidgeting. Who did that cover art? Cover was by Tramp. That doesn't look like a... Is it? If that's DAT, that is far from his best work. In fact, it's among his worst. He's done much better than that. Okay, just hurled abuse at one of my favourite artists. Well, sometimes you've got to be fair. Sometimes it doesn't always come off. I mean, what was it? The Endless Stare was a cover of that. Was a failed Elmore piece that was put on the on the cover under a pseudonym because it was so bad. Right, Dragon Magic. D&D provides for limited magic use by dragons. It is assumed, however, that the magic of dragon is the same as that of humans. I contend this is only partially true. Well, I would agree in that it is innate. You can't imagine a red dragon performing the somatic, performing with the somatic agility of a magic user, or picking out a little tiny bit of bat guano for a fireball, that sort of thing. Why a red dragon would cast fireball when it's got flame breath? Flame breath, I don't know, but I'm just proving a point. So yeah, it's innate. Magic used by dragons is tempered by their nature. Yeah, I'd say that's quite good. Dragons are creatures of rock and wind, having little use for plants and water. They feel little need for offensive spells, believing that their own body and deadly breath will fill this need. Yeah, I could see them using divination spells and protective spells to hide themselves away, hide their own loot away, or to just give them that little sort of assistance. I mean, they're meant, a lot of the time they're sleeping, but they're meant to have great senses and just sort of wake up in a smoke with that eye flickering awake. Maybe he's got a little alarm spell cast on the edge of his domain, just to make sure he does waken when a little hobbit arrives to steal from him. But yes, that makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense to give them spells that protect their horde, just give them peace. Let's have a look at this spell list here. The Breath Charm, Charm Avians, Charm Person, yeah. Detect Alignment, Detect Magic, Evaluate Item, good one. Locate Lair, what's that? It'll learn the exact direction of its lair regardless of distance. Imagine clever dragons really getting lost. Magic Pointer. When faced by opposition, this spell will point out the highest level opponent. Slightly metagamey. Most powerful opponent. Okay. Phantasmal Forces. Yeah, that's good. Stay invisible. Perfect. Wearlight. A spell which causes any object to glow with a soft, heatless light. Ah, so it's like a bit of a, almost like a little bit of a fairy fire, because it extends to creatures as well. You think you can hide from me, fleshling? Yeah. Ah, binding spell. There's alarm. There's alarm. Yeah. What's binding spell? What's level 3? I'm jumping across. Alarm. ESP. Perfect. Heat metal. Get away from me. No cook in that armor. Marvelous. Illusion, invisibility, mirror image. Yeah, I see they have the same sort of ideas. Good. And I like the way they've got, a lot of these are new spells, so they've got descriptions of them. And they're simple descriptions. They're not sort of, they're they're descriptions that enable you to be imaginative, rather than certain more modern games where they really limit what you can do with a spell by using very precise language. Just changes in gaming styles, isn't it? Pits. Ooh, random tables for what might be in pits. Yeah, good. Perfect. Gelatinous cubes. Animals, giant. Yeah. If it's a giant weasel, a giant serpent, it's going to be angry. It's going to have been stuck down there for a while, because you got to think how they live in there. I mean, Gelatinous Cube doesn't really think, but it could easily have gone slop into it and just be sat there waiting, going, wait for dinner to arrive, I'm patient. But no, they don't think. Yeah, you might find Angry Weasel down there. Teleporting Pit, Monsters Special. What's in the special list? Special. Tied or chained down citizen, tied or chained down specialist, tied or chained down monster. And the list of citizens. Very precise though here. Pipe reed grower, shipbuilder, hat maker, beer merchant, sculptor, fisherman, locksmith, tool merchant, weapon merchant, teacher, loan shark or trapper. Yeah, some very specific professions there, but I think I quite like those. They're quite flavourful. Specialist, character class. Yeah, but this is a sort of little thing that if you've got a copy of this magazine, you're running a game, happen to fall down a pit, you think, I'm going to make this pit interesting, let's roll dice. There you go. Because not every adventure details what's in pits, or when you're putting a pit down, you might go, oh, come in this one. Spikes. Yeah, poison spikes again. Maybe rusty spikes. More spikes. Let's have something different. There's our spikes on here, look. 1 to 35 spikes. This is where I'm going to give up a little idea of how my mind works. I like the idea of a pit where the pit is obvious in the corridor. The party can see it ahead of them. And they see some spikes down there. It's about 20 feet. It's going to hurt if they fall down there. But the real trap is the fact that the floor on the other side of the pit is an illusion. And if you try and jump it, you'll land on the floor. And you slide back into the pit. Or you could put blades and spikes on the illusionary floor on the other side. Random events table for settlements or settled areas. Yeah, it's D&D variant. Random stuff for settlements and settled areas. Okay, by N. Robin Crosby from Australia. Yeah, a table of random events for settled areas. It does what it says on the tin. You've got, look down here, recession, depression, inflation, exploitation, oppression, inquisition, witch hunts, uprising, revolts, riots and coups. Yeah, there you go. Varying by season. So summer and autumn are most likely for something to be happening. Winter, everybody's tucked inside. Yeah, because it's quiet. That's fine. That's fine. Only a slight difference though. Colourful picture. Monty and the German High Command by James M. Ward. Oh, The Adventures of Monty Hall. Oh, this is I remember seeing this in the previous issue. An attempt at comedy. I didn't find it funny. Sorry, Mr. Ward. The Wandering Monster by James Ward. What the hell is that a picture of? In dealing with the concept of Wandering Monster, the judge is the first and last word. Also, because any given DM is very individualistic, the manner in which those ever-present monsters are handled varies from judge to judge. What the wargaming scene really needs is some consistency in the method DMs throw those creatures at us poor players. If you're playing tournaments, organised play, yeah. In a home game, no. Don't start sounding all uppity now, Mr. Ward. I suppose if you're running multiple DMs, running a campaign, and you're flitting from house to house with your group of characters, as apparently was common in those days. So Gygax had 30 or 40 people turning up on various days of the week. Yeah, you need some consistency there, I guess. Or don't you just play with the DM whose style you like? Doesn't that make it more interesting? Because you get differences at the tables. Uniformity is boring. Anyway, yeah, I can say I'm disagreeing here with just the whole premise of this. I agree with the idea of rolling for Wandering Monsters. I agree with the idea of Wandering Monster tables. I like it when I look in an adventure. Even though I don't always roll, I like the idea of having a Wandering Monster table and going and thinking, look at the table, it's like, what would fit this current circumstance? Oh, I'll grab those off the table. I don't often roll on the table, but I'll often grab something off there and go, yeah, that's a good idea. We'll have some of them now. Roll dice for how many? That's fair. Right, we're into the adverts. Very quickly away from the adverts. Archive miniatures. Quality that speaks for itself. Notes from another barely successful D&D player. James Ward, in the Dragon 2.7, presents many fine suggestions and tricks for a D&D adventurer. I admired them all and was motivated to present a few that I have used. It seems to be the law of nature that stage magic is more impressive than true sorcery and that the con is more effective than valid argument. Thus, as a D&D player of 3 years, my favourite character type is the Maladroit. Simply put, I fight poorly, use no magic, cannot pick locks, and never lead men. I do instead spend more than half of my time on the road with stage productions, mime troops, and patent medicine shows, learning crowd control and con artistry. And my DM takes into account when calculating probabilities. I am not without defences, however. Okay. Talking about creating an interesting character type. Sounds fine. And a DM that goes with it. Good. That's how you're meant to DM, especially when the game was very bare bones as it was in the early days. Rulings over rules. And that's where you want consistent DMing, but you want consistent DMing from one DM. I mean, would you bring that character into another DM's campaign and expect the same treatment? No. Dragon Mirth, the Gospel of Benoit. No, I'm not going to bother. Sorry, Jerome Arkenberg, I'm not going to bother. Waste of space. I think comedy D&D stories is very much an acquired taste. It's not a taste that I've acquired in written form. Telling the tales, of course, that's fine. But usually, sometimes, occasionally, if you were there. Origins advert from the Sorcerer's Scroll, D&D ground and spell area scale. Oh, he's talking about the 10 feet indoors, 10 yards outdoors, which, of course, was the default scale in AD&D, from what I remember. I don't know about before AD&D because I've not played White Box and I haven't played Homes. I know it comes from Chainmail had a ground scale of 1 inch equals 10 yards. Well, here's the thing for me. I don't play with miniature. I don't play AD&D on a measured grid. I'm aware that distances change indoors and outdoors because of lighting and claustrophobic conditions and just generally having more space and freedom to move. It makes sense. But I don't overly fuss about it. I don't care if something's got a radius of 20 foot and something might be 20 foot and 6 inches away. Does it really matter? You just, as a DM, I don't, people use these circles and whatever. I just say beforehand, okay, if you cast it there, it'll affect these. But, no, if you cast it there, it'll affect these. Okay, I want to get out of the area of effect. Yeah, okay, then move away a bit further then. If I move it there, will I catch a few more then? Yeah, why not? Why not? Just make a choice and go with it. That choice isn't always perfect. I mean, I will say, I mean, there's no gotcha in there. If the Mage casts a fireball on a room and there are PCs within the area of effect, I'm not going to go, haha, you've got your mates. I'm going to say, are you sure you want to do that because you believe it might get your mates? Then it's like, okay, I'll rethink where I place the fireball. Or maybe the other characters go, okay, well, we'll back out, give the mage room to launch the fireball. So on. It's all about give and take, not about pedantry. So I'm not remotely interested in reading this article, to be honest. I know I think about it in my brain, and I'm not a fan of the. I think, nah, you're 5 feet too far away. You can't go that way because that's in the way, and you're 2 foot short of movement. No, not interested. And counting squares, give me a break. Give me a break. I don't play like a board game. Those who've played games with me will know what I mean. We do play. I mean, we play Roll20. Have little tokens and whatever, but it's all very free and easy. They're just used for general positioning. This is more dragon magic stuff. That's fine. Oh, right. We'll miss one out here. Weather in the wilderness. Okay. I don't mind this. I often make it up as I go along with the weather. I do occasionally roll on weather tables, if applicable, and if the game really centres around the journey. For example, I'm running a MERP game, and I have been using table rolls just for general development of the weather. But I've done that before the session. But in a D&D game, unless it really matters, I don't need it. And I remember the wilderness. You had the Dungeoneer Survival Guide and the Wilderness Survival Guide. The Wilderness Survival Guide had a lot of weather and environmental stuff in there. It's just too much. If you've got one page of tables, though, one page of tables is fine. Just having one page pinned on your screen or whatever, and you're running outdoor exploration, it's fine. So I've not got a problem with a page like this. I didn't need a whole guide to sort all that out. Right, this is the rest of the dragon magic. Lots of articles continuing from earlier pages. Look at this. That's the rest of the weather. Then you've got the rest of the dragon magic from page 4. And this is the Tim Kask introduction continuing from page 2. Bad organisation. Bad organisation. Fantasy Forge. I'm sorry, this advert looks terrible. Absolutely terrible. Announcing 2 important releases. Oh, here we go. Gamma World and the Player's Handbook for AD&D. Marvellous. Good book. Not as good as the Dungeon Master's Guide, but still a good book. It's one of the defining books for me. Stellar Conquest, Examining Movement Tactics. Yeah, I'm going to flip straight past that because it's sci-fi. Did have a live stream last week about people with the idea being try to convert me to sci-fi, and we worked out that I would play in a sci-fi futuristic game if it was pretty much on a frontier with a bit of a Wild Westy theme, with no real jargon in there. I don't like that techno babble. I'm not a fan of planet and world hopping and spaceships, but you can have a futuristic game which is science fiction, and you can put it on a little sort of backwater, maybe slightly post-apocalyptic in the future, and I'd play on that because I like small scale. I like very local games. I'm not a big sort of earth-shattering-y sort of person when it comes to my games. I like that feeling of hopelessness as well. That's why I like Call of Cthulhu, I guess. So let's zoom on. We're still going about the Stellar Conquest. Miniature figurines, more adverts. Look. How many good miniature adverts have you seen in this issue of Dragon? How many? I can answer that. None. Any of these make you want to buy these miniatures. The Green Magician by L. Sprague de Camp. He's mentioned in Appendix N. I've never read any of his stuff, but I know his name is in there because I remember laughing at his name's odd. L. Sprague de Camp. I thought that was funny when I was a kid. Might be a very nice chap. Anyone know what the L's short for? I don't. But fiction, not interested. I'm sorry. I mean, some of you might be de Camp fans, so shout at me in the comments below. Tell me whether I should read that or whether I should or shouldn't or whatever. Phineas Fingers. I've not been reading it, so I'm not going to start. I've been reading Wormy though. Just a one page. I've got my counters. What are you going to use? I've got my counters. What are you going to use? Yeah. I quite like that actually. I quite like that. That's a decent cartoon. So more fiction, blah 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 blah, and we come to a Gen Con 11 advert, and oh, I thought that was going to be it, but no, the fiction continues, and continues more. The bit of artwork that looks like Sutherland, probably is, isn't it? Random encounters for Boot Hill, right? Well, more than 32 pages in this issue. Is it grown? Of course, there's the bonus thing for the 3rd anniversary. Random encounters for Boot Hill. I've never played Boot Hill. I do like Wild Westy stuff. It's one of those games that's I've always wanted to have a look at it, but I've never got hold of it. I've always been in, despite being the wrong side of the Atlantic, I do like my cowboy-y sort of stuff, and I remember I write pub quizzes. I write and host them, and I thought once I would. I'm going to research 10 questions for tonight's quiz on the Wild West. Remember, it's a British pub quiz, so I can't make them too difficult. It's got to be things like where the answer's Wyatt Earp or Frank James or the Hole in the Wall Gang, that sort of thing. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, well-known Wild West incidents, gunfight at the OK Corral. That round took me about 8 hours to write because I just lost myself on the internet looking at pictures of Wild Bill Hickok and Billy the Kid and all the names that I remembered from when I was a kid. Found out some really interesting stuff. Don't think I ever wrote that round. I just sat reading it. So yeah, I find it very evocative. I mean, I don't know how long I'd play a game in that setting, but I'd certainly give it a try. So, random encounters, good. Legions of the Petal Throne, fantasy miniatures, wargame rules for the world of Tecumel. Okay, $5. Add £1 for postage and handling. Right. Is this the bonus thing? So we have... Oh, right. So this is more of the cover. Okay. Ah, right. So you have horse's rear end cover there. Oh, I quite like that. That's all right. It's a pity that guy at the back is so badly drawn, because the guy at the front, he does look all right. And that, actually, his left arm, his right arm. Look. It ain't right, is it? It isn't right there. Just notice that his left arm's fine. If you cut it down there, it's all right. But the horse's backside was okay. Right, what was that special thing we were supposed to be having in this episode, in this edition? The Dragon's Birthday Gift to You, centerfold. What page was that? Is there something missing from this scan? Yeah, there is. There is. 15. Advert. 19. 18. 17, no, 16, 15, 16, 17. No, there's nothing. No, there's nothing missing there. Oh, what should there have been in the centre? Does anybody know? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, I'll stop skipping and let's go a little quick review of this issue. Dragon Magic, yes, very good, very good. Fully agree with that. No idea what the dragon's birthday gift was to us. Not interested in the fiction. Fantasy Forge, really, I don't see the point. I do not see the point of photos of models. Bad photos that don't sell the models very well. Pits, good. Random events, good. Notes from a semi-successful D&D player, nah. Weather in the Wilderness, yeah, right. Random events in Boot Hill, yeah, right. Wandering Monsters should add to your game, not interfere. Don't like the tone of the article. The idea's right, but I don't like the high and mighty tone of it. Sorcerer's Scott, not interested in ground scales, area of effect. I wing it. Stellar Conquest, not interested. And then the Mirth stuff. Wormy was good. Others, the last edition before this one was nearly all sci-fi. Previous edition before that seemed to have been quite good. Then we had a nearly all sci-fi one, which I just wouldn't have been interested in. It might have been good for sci-fi fans. This one is a very, very mixed bag. There's some stuff in here I really like, and some stuff in here I'm like, I wish was not in there. It would infuriate me. And it wouldn't put me off buying it, but some of the writing style, yeah. Let's not rub people up the wrong way, shall we? I don't think it's too bad an issue. White Dwarf has just had a pretty bad issue. Its most recent one. It's just White Dwarf is sort of having a little sort of I'm not sure where we're going moment. So White Dwarf is due a bounce back, and I think this was a little bit of a bounce back from the old sci-fi issue, but inconsistent, and that's where I'm going to leave it. So, Volume 3, Number 1, Dragon Magazine, Number 15, inconsistent. I've been the Old Geek. Thanks for watching. See ya.